Greetings, my dear viewer. This is a channel about marital infidelity and about the consequences if one spouse starts to cheat on the other. If you, as well as I do, support true family values and condemn cheating, then subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Let's get started. My name is Jeremy. I'm 36, just an ordinary guy, neither strikingly handsome nor unattractive. I never put much stock in appearances, and I assumed my wife, Whitney, felt the same way. Or at least, that's what I had always believed. We had been married for 5 years, and life was stable. My career was on track, we had a comfortable amount of savings, owned a home, and had plenty of plans for the future. Everything seemed solid. Whitney, however, was someone people noticed. She was tall, effortlessly graceful, with piercing blue eyes and golden blonde hair. Whenever she walked into a room, heads inevitably turned. She never appeared to care about the attention, or so I thought. Then came the night that shifted everything. It was a relaxed birthday gathering, just friends drinking wine and indulging in the kind of late-night conversations that wander into strange territory. We were sitting in a circle, talking about aspirations, future plans, and eventually, kids. That's when Whitney said something that made my stomach drop. "If I ever had a child, I'd want them to have different genes," she remarked casually. For a brief moment, silence filled the room. My mind scrambled to make sense of her words. Did she actually mean that? Before I could respond, she let out a quick laugh and waved it off. "Oh, I didn't mean it like that," she said with a grin. "I was just joking. I mean, imagine if we had a kid with Scandinavian genes. Tall, blonde, blue-eyed. He'd probably look like a model, right?" A few nervous chuckles rippled through the group, everyone eager to move past the awkwardness. I forced a smile, trying to match the tone. "Sure," I said, attempting to sound amused. "Maybe we'll get some Viking strength in there too." The conversation drifted to other topics, but her words embedded themselves in my mind. At first, I brushed it off as an offhand comment, just something people say when they've had too much to drink. But as we lay in bed that night, her remark kept replaying in my head. Why would she say something like that? That moment was just the start. Initially, I convinced myself it was a one-time slip. But in the days that followed, I began noticing a pattern. Whitney's offhand comments about genetics and physical attributes started to pile up. We'd be watching a movie, and she'd randomly ask, "Do you think that actor's jawline is just genetics? Or does he work out obsessively?" Or she'd sigh and muse aloud, "Imagine having a kid with eyes like that." At first, I dismissed it. People admire celebrities all the time, right? But then she began making observations about random people in public. One afternoon at the grocery store, she leaned in close. "That guy must be at least 6 feet tall. Think he's Scandinavian? They're always tall." I let out a nervous chuckle. "What's with you and Scandinavians lately?" She smirked, but didn't answer. I tried to shake it off, convincing myself it was just a temporary fascination, like those phases where people get obsessed with fitness or binge-watch crime documentaries. But this was something else. Then one night over dinner, she escalated things. Twirling her pasta on her fork, she casually mentioned she'd been reading about genetics. Apparently, she had stumbled upon some blog or influencer discussing optimal gene combinations. I nearly choked on my food. "You're serious? Superior traits?" She nodded enthusiastically. "It's really interesting. There's actual research showing that certain features, height, symmetry, can impact a person's success. Tall men statistically earn more. People with symmetrical faces are perceived as more trustworthy." I frowned. "Okay, but why does that matter to us?" She sighed as if I were missing something obvious. "Jeremy, don't you want the best for our future children?" I struggled to respond. The way she spoke about it, so detached and analytical, unsettled me. I changed the subject, but an uncomfortable feeling lingered. In the weeks that followed, her interest became an obsession. She spent hours online, watching videos of so-called genetic experts and reading about inheritance patterns. She even started tracing her own ancestry, proudly pointing out her Scandinavian lineage. Then, one night, as we watched a movie, she dropped another bombshell. "I've been thinking, we should really consider how genetics will shape our kids." I grabbed the remote and muted the TV. "What do you mean?" She spoke as if discussing vacation plans. I mean, if we want to give our children every advantage, we should be strategic. I blinked. Strategic? You make it sound like we're designing a product. She crossed her arms, exasperated. Jeremy, this isn't about you. It's about setting our kids up for success. Strong genetics can do that. A tight knot formed in my stomach. Are you saying my genes aren't good enough? She hesitated, realizing how it sounded. No, I mean you're smart, responsible, even handsome. It's just what? I interrupted. You're worried our kids won't be tall enough? Won't have the right features? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she studied me, carefully considering her words. And that's when it truly hit me. This wasn't a passing phase. She wasn't going to move on from this after a few blog posts or viral TikTok videos. She was serious. That night, I lay awake beside her, staring at the ceiling, lost in thought. How do you reason with someone who believes your future children need to be engineered for perfection? The following weeks were agonizing. Her casual comments turned into outright fixation. Every outing became an opportunity for her to analyze strangers. One afternoon, as we walked through the park, she pointed at a tall blonde couple pushing a stroller. Look at them, she murmured. Their kids will probably be athletes or CEOs. I rolled my eyes. Right, because genetics guarantees success. She ignored my sarcasm, watching them like they were part of some grand experiment. But it wasn't just her words. Her entire demeanor changed. She became distant, colder. The woman who once curled up next to me on the couch now barely acknowledged my presence. And when she did, it was often with subtle digs. One evening, we had a minor argument over dinner plans. Frustrated, she snapped, "Maybe if you weren't so average, you'd understand how important this is." I froze. Excuse me? Average? That's how you see me now? Her expression shifted as if she regretted saying it. Jeremy, I didn't mean... But she had, and there was no taking it back. You know exactly what I'm getting at. No, actually I don't, I snapped, frustration seeping into my voice. Because from where I'm standing, it sounds like you're regretting marrying a man who isn't some towering, broad-shouldered warrior. She exhaled sharply, crossing her arms as if bracing herself. I'm worried. Worried about what? That our kids won't have the same advantages as others, she admitted, her voice tight with unease. The world is already tough enough. I scoffed, shaking my head. That's absurd, Whitney. Our children will be loved, supported, and given every opportunity to succeed. But she wasn't ready to let go of this misguided belief, clinging to it like it was an undeniable truth. Silence settled between us, thick and suffocating. I could see it in her face. She wasn't going to back down. And me? I was caught between the urge to shake some sense into her and the impulse to just walk away. From that moment, everything began to unravel. Whitney pulled away, withdrawing emotionally, as if she had already decided I was genetically unfit. She bombarded me with statistics. Taller men earn more. Symmetrical features inspire trust. It was relentless, exhausting, and utterly dehumanizing. One night I couldn't hold back any longer. So let me get this straight. You think I'm not suitable to father your children because I don't meet some arbitrary genetic checklist? If that's how you feel, why the hell did you marry me, Whitney? She hesitated, her expression softening just slightly. Jeremy, that's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying? My voice was low, restrained, but the anger simmered beneath the surface. You're a good man. You're dependable, and I love you, she said carefully. But this isn't just about us. It's about the future. A hollow laugh escaped me. So I'm good enough to be your husband, but not good enough to be the father of your children. Got it. The betrayal hit deep. That night, I didn't even bother climbing into bed. Instead, I lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, wondering how we got here. This wasn't the woman I had fallen in love with. The woman I married didn't care about superficial nonsense like this. Now, she felt like a stranger. And for the first time, I had to ask myself, was this the beginning of the end? Her obsession only deepened. She spoke about genetic advantages as casually as discussing weekend plans, as if she hadn't already gutted me with the notion that I wasn't enough. Then, one night, she crossed a line I never saw coming. We were sitting in the living room, barely acknowledging each other. I flipped through channels, trying to avoid another argument when she spoke up. Jeremy, I've been thinking. Dread curled in my stomach. Oh, this should be good. I muted the TV and turned to face her. Thinking about what? She hesitated before dropping the bombshell. Maybe we should consider a sperm donor, someone with stronger traits. For a moment, I was sure I had misheard. What the hell did you just say? Don't get upset, she rushed to say, already on the defensive. I'm just saying we should explore all options. Blood roared in my ears as I shot up from the couch, pacing the room. Options? You mean replacing my DNA with another man's? Do you even hear yourself? Jeremy, please, calm down, she pleaded, as if I was the one being irrational. It's not like I'm suggesting I sleep with someone else. It's just a medical procedure. A bitter laugh escaped me. Oh well, that makes everything so much better. Thanks for the clarification, Whitney. Now I totally feel secure knowing you'd rather create a designer baby than have one with me. She folded her arms, her frustration evident. You're twisting my words. You refuse to see my point. No, I see it perfectly, I shot back, my voice laced with bitterness. You've made it clear that I'm not good enough, that our children need an upgrade because the thought of them resembling me is unbearable to you. She rolled her eyes. You're being dramatic. I let out another humorless laugh. Dramatic? You've spent months obsessing over this, throwing statistics at me, making comparisons, and now you're actually suggesting a sperm donor. If anyone is being dramatic, it's you. She stood, meeting my gaze. I'm not trying to hurt you, Jeremy. I just want what's best for our children. Why can't you understand that? Because you've lost touch with reality, I shouted. You've let this obsession warp your mind, and you don't even see the damage you're causing. Do you even care how this makes me feel? For a second, I thought I saw realization flicker across her face, but it was too late. The damage was done. I couldn't unhear her words. I needed space. Without another word, I grabbed my keys and walked out the door, leaving her standing alone in the living room. I drove for hours, my thoughts circling a single truth. This wasn't just a fight. This was a breaking point, and I wasn't sure if we could ever come back from it. When I finally returned, Whitney was waiting, exhaustion evident in her face. Are you planning to stay out all night from now on? She asked quietly. I didn't hesitate. I'm considering it. I brushed past her, heading straight for the spare bedroom. I was done. Done with the statistics, the cold detachment, the feeling of never being enough. The following days were unbearable. We barely spoke. I knew she was confused, maybe even hurt, but I no longer cared. I replayed our conversation over and over, the wound refusing to close. She didn't seem to grasp how deep she had cut me. To her, this was another disagreement, something we could resolve. But to me, this was the edge of a cliff. I had already fallen, and there was no way back. Then, one evening, she brought it up again. We sat at the dining table, the silence suffocating. She set down her fork and spoke cautiously. Jeremy, I think we need to be realistic. I looked at her. Realistic about what? She exhaled, rubbing her temples. About children. About how we move forward. I know you hate the idea of sperm donation, so I've been researching other alternatives. My stomach tightened. What kind of alternatives? Calm down, she said quickly. I'm just speaking hypothetically. Some couples use surrogates. Others consider non-traditional methods. My pulse hammered. Non-traditional? Are you saying? She cut me off, shaking her head. No, I'm not talking about cheating. I just mean there are options. We should at least have a conversation. I stared at her, my heart pounding. She truly believed this was something to discuss. But I already knew the truth. There was nothing left to save. Whitney, do you even hear yourself right now? You're actually sitting here, suggesting we bring in someone else to have a child. Have you completely lost it? The absurdity of her words hit me so hard I could barely register them. She hesitated, as if only just realizing how ridiculous she sounded, then forced a nervous laugh, waving her hand as if that could somehow undo what she had just said. You're blowing this out of proportion. It was just an idea. Just an idea. I shoved my chair back and stood, my glare drilling into her. You expect me to sit here and calmly listen while you brainstorm ways to replace me as the father of our children? Jeremy, don't be like this. I'm done, Whitney. Her eyes widened, the shock evident on her face. You don't mean that. I do. My voice was firm, even as my chest tightened. I've been done for a while now. You've pushed me to my limit with this whole genetic fantasy. I don't even recognize you anymore. Jeremy, please. She got up, reaching for me. You can't just walk away over a misunderstanding. This isn't a misunderstanding. My voice was razor sharp. For months, you've chipped away at me, made me feel inadequate, like I'm just some placeholder while you fantasize about an ideal version of our future kids. And now you want to talk about alternatives? No, I refuse to be part of this experiment. You're being selfish, she snapped, her tone hardening. You're making this about your ego instead of thinking about our future family. I let out a bitter laugh. That's rich, coming from someone who wants to custom order a child like it's a designer handbag. Her expression turned to stone. You're impossible, and you're delusional. My words were ice. Enjoy your dream life, Whitney, because it won't include me. That night, I packed my bags. As I stepped outside, she followed, her voice trembling. Jeremy, wait. You don't have to do this. We can talk. I didn't even look back. I'm done talking. Your obsession with a fantasy has ruined what we had. Newsflash. Perfect families don't exist. You destroyed us chasing something that never will. I got in my car and drove off. I had no destination in mind, just the overwhelming need to be anywhere but there. Hours passed before my phone rang. I let it buzz a few times before finally answering. What do you want? My tone was flat. Where are you? She asked softly. Are you coming home? No, Whitney. I'm not coming home. The finality in my voice was absolute. I need space. I need time. And honestly, so do you. Jeremy, I don't get why you're so upset. I thought we were having a rational discussion. I exhaled sharply, exhaustion settling deep in my bones. Jesus, Whitney, you really don't get it. You've spent months making me feel inadequate, measuring me against some fantasy. How can you not see how damaging that is? Silence filled the line. Then, in a whisper, she said, I never meant to hurt you. Well, you did. My voice was cold. And I'm done arguing. We're not even in the same reality anymore. That was the last real conversation we ever had. The next day, I called a lawyer. Whitney barely resisted. Maybe she was still in shock, or maybe she had convinced herself that I was the one being irrational. Either way, the divorce moved fast, almost too fast. She didn't drag it out, didn't contest anything. It was like she couldn't fully comprehend that it was actually happening. Meanwhile, I was laser-focused, meeting with my lawyer, setting up my own bank account, searching for a new place. She reached out a few times, but every conversation felt strained, meaningless. The last time she called, she said, Jeremy, I think you're overreacting. Maybe you're just stressed. We can fix this. I nearly laughed. Whitney, I'm not stressed. I'm done. You made it painfully clear I don't fit into your vision anymore, and I can't stay with someone who sees me as a genetic flaw. She didn't respond. No argument, no apology, just silence. The divorce was finalized without spectacle. Word got around, and soon the questions started coming. Friends, family, everyone wanted to know what had happened. But I wasn't about to expose Whitney's obsession with designer genetics. That was her burden to bear. From what I heard, she didn't handle the fallout well. At a party, some guy joked, "Guess now you're free to find that Viking you wanted." She didn't take it well. Good. Maybe she finally had to confront reality. Life after divorce was strange. When someone has been part of your life for so long, their sudden absence is deafening. I moved into a small apartment, temporary, just until I figured things out. I stayed busy, hiking, working out, spending time with friends who didn't bring up her name. Dating wasn't even a consideration. First, I had to rebuild myself. But the nights were tough. Lying in bed at 2 a.m., I'd replay our arguments, all the insane conversations. I'd ask myself if I could have handled it differently, if maybe I had overreacted. Deep down, I already knew the answer. Whitney wasn't the woman I had married. She had let this toxic obsession consume her, and nothing I did could have changed that. As for her, I heard she wasn't doing great. She buried herself in work, kept her distance from friends. The social butterfly had clipped her own wings. She tried reaching out a few more times, sending messages like, "Can we talk?" And I've been thinking about everything. I never responded. I wasn't going back. I wasn't reopening wounds that had finally begun to heal. I often wondered if she ever truly understood the damage she had done. But that was no longer my problem. I was moving forward, one step at a time, and honestly, I felt lighter, free, no more impossible expectations, no more competing with an illusion, just me, and that was more than enough. My friend, and this is the end of the story. If you liked this story, then put your royal like and subscribe to the channel. May the force be with you.